Did you know Columbia University was named after a rapist? It's time for college students to return to the fall semester of school or to start their freshman year at Columbia University. And as the school tries to whitewash the prior semester of using European terrorists in the NYPD to violate the First Amendment rights of their students, the university claimed that their president, Minouche Shafik, voluntarily resigned and was replaced by interim president Katrina Armstrong. While Palestinian students and other supporting students protested the war in Gaza, they asked Columbia University to divest all companies and business interests from Columbia University, which are involved in funding and profiting off of the war in Gaza. The university and their donors and other entities that financially support Columbia University completely dismissed the requests of these protesters and implemented a brute force attack upon the protesters, which was orchestrated by a mayor who was financially backed by Jewish billionaires. New York City Mayor Eric Adams stated, "There is a movement to radicalize young people, and I'm not going to wait until it's done," and all of a sudden acknowledged the existence of it. This is a global problem that young people are being influenced by those who are professionals at radicalizing our children, and I'm not going to allow that to happen as the mayor of the city of New York. This is what European Christian Judaic terrorism or European Christian Judaic supremacy looks like. The politicians in America don't have a problem with what the Judaic boys in Israel are doing to the Palestinians in Gaza, because the Christian boys did the same thing to the Native Americans in America. They went out there and they were killing people, raping people, robbing people, doing what they want to people, taking over people's land, and then preaching Christianity. This is the same blueprint that the Judaic boys are following on the Palestinian land that they now call Israel. They went out there and they were killing people, raping people, robbing people, doing what they want to people, taking over people's land, and then preaching Judaism. Who is trying to radicalize young people in America? Them young people already been radicalized by those European Christian terrorists. Look at those black people. Number one, they speak the white man's English. Number two, they get on their knees and pray to the white gods of their ancestors' rapists. Number three, and they walk around America with the white man's name on their birth certificate, pursuant to rape and pursuant to being the white man's property. Number four, therefore, them young people already been radicalized pursuant to European Christian terrorism. And these Christian terrorists are fearful of losing their European Christian rule or control over their Christian victims or hostages, who they kidnapped from Africa and raped, murdered, and enslaved all over the Americas. Columbia University was founded under the name of King's College in 1754, and its name was changed to Columbia College in 1784, and then to Columbia University in 1896. But the university was named after Christopher Columbus, and Christopher Columbus was one of the biggest rapists and pedophiles on this planet. Christopher Columbus murdered, raped, and enslaved natives in the Americas, and also raped and sold little children as sex slaves. Christopher Columbus was a rapist and a pedophile and a sex trafficker of children. Columbus and his men were responsible for millions of deaths in the Americas, which were part of the 56 million natives who died between 1492 and 1600. But now, after all of these atrocities and genocides by these European terrorists, they formed schools, streets, and statues, and they named and sculpted these schools and streets and statues after a murderer, rapist, pedophile, and sex trafficker who they called Christopher Columbus. They have a huge statue of Christopher Columbus at Columbus Circle in Manhattan, New York, and other statues of Columbus all over New York City. There's a street named Columbus Avenue in Manhattan, New York, and Columbus Place in Brooklyn, New York. There's a New York City public school New York City Public High School named Christopher Columbus High School in the Bronx. And then there's Columbia University. These European Christian terrorists already radicalized these young and old people in New York City and the rest of America. They live on streets which are named after rapists. They go to schools which are named after rapists. And they walk around a civilization with statues of rapists throughout their communities. Who does that? Who honors murderers, rapists, pedophiles, and sex traffickers with street names, schools, and statues? These Christian terrorists are saying we can kill, rape, enslave, and sex traffic little children, and we can throw it in your face, and you can't do anything about it. And the Judaic terrorists are saying the same thing. We will tell you that there are Hamas terrorists in the basement of the hospitals, mosques, and schools. And even though we know that they are not there, we are going to blow up and kill over 40,000 innocent children, women, and civilians, and starve them, and then kill the people who tried to feed them, and then say it was an accident. And then kill Jewish hostages and blame Hamas for doing it. And you can't do anything about it. What if they started naming the streets in New York City Bill Cosby Boulevard and R. Kelly Avenue? What if they started erecting statues of Adolf Hitler in New York City in the middle of Hitler Circle? What if they started naming schools Hamas University and Hitler University? These European Christian terrorists killed 56 million natives in the Americas, and the Nazis killed 6 million Jews in Europe. Therefore, 50 million more natives were killed than Jews, and they give Christopher Columbus a holiday in America. If the Roman Catholic Christian Church wanted a hero to celebrate a holiday, and they chose Christopher Columbus, then I guess that Columbus is a hero to them, because the Roman Catholic Church raped little children, and Christopher Columbus raped little children too. This is what these European terrorists are doing. They are using Christianity and Judaism to cover up and whitewash their atrocities and genocides that they have implemented upon mankind. One day, I was in my home with my mother on Christopher Columbus Day, and the news came on, and they started talking about Christopher Columbus Day parade. And I shouted at the TV and screamed, "Get the fuck out of here with that Christopher Columbus bullshit. Christopher Columbus is a fucking raper, man." My mother began screaming at me, and she shouted, "Hey, hey, hey, leave my grandfather alone." We began laughing, and she was trying to claim that she was an offspring of Christopher Columbus and one of his rape victims.